I remember seeing Star Wars The Force Awakens in 2015 with my family, and I don't know how to describe it other than the words super hype. My parents had lived through the first saga, my sister grew up with the second, and I was about to experience the third grand arc of the Star Wars story. And I really liked it. The seventh movie was awesome. It was a ton of fun, Rey was incredible, Finn was my favorite, and Kylo was a really sick villain. Then, a couple years later, I saw the second movie, The Last Jedi. Okay, that was weird. It was fine, but it retconned so much of what seemed to be just for the sake of shock value. I mean, it literally starts with a retcon of the last scene of The Force Awakens. Retcons aren't bad themselves necessarily, and it did set up some interesting things, but it kinda just left you with more questions than answers. There's plenty of good, but also plenty of what? And then I watched episode 9. It retconned the retcons, did seemingly everything for shock value, slapped episode 8 in the face, and teabagged episode 7's now long decaying semblance of a narrative setup. I don't know if it's deja vu or if I'm just being paranoid, but I'm scared we just watched episode 8 of Destiny 2. I'm seeing a lot of the same patterns. A weird narrative backslide, a lot of hanging threads and missing links, questions that aren't cool, but frustrating. This video is going to explain why I feel that way and why I think that happened. And first of all, I am going to be spoiling the campaign. Also, I am not dunking on people here. I know plenty of people worked very hard on this campaign, however, I am still entitled to my opinions and entitled to share those opinions. We live in a free world with the internet, guys. Anyways, Lightfall's campaign has gotten plenty of criticism from people way more experienced than me, and this honestly is not my usual format of video. I'm usually pretty chipper and positive about everything, so let's start with the good. I actually really did like Osiris. I've kind of been Osiris's hate club member numero uno, but his usually slow and grating voice actually showed a decent amount of emotion and tempo, which was a nice change. Also, I really didn't mind Strand being the campaign focus at all, but I did have a couple of problems with it. I'll get around to that later. The cutscenes also slapped, and it definitely looked like they got a budget increase or something, because they looked way better in my opinion. Also, if you've played the campaign for any amount of time, you know that the Nezarec reveal is awesome and his voice is killer. I'm glad we get to see him presumably in the upcoming raid, although I really wish he got a bigger role in the lore. He honestly should have been one of the big consequences of the Witness winning. Once again, I'll get around to that. Also, Neomuna and Strand are really great as well, but that really isn't part of the campaign story. That's not what this video is focused on. I'm here to talk about the campaign, after all. Lightfall itself is good and worth the money, but there's still one big problem that I have with this expansion: sacrificing build-up for the sake of impact. In a desperate attempt to be the next big step in the crazy awesome Destiny 2 ending narrative, it skips very important steps, and in the process sabotages the build-up we've already had. So why did it do this, and how will they recover? Well, first we need to look at why Lightfall's payoffs don't work. This expansion has a nasty habit of setting something up and then not paying it off. I mean, first and foremost, everybody already knows about this: the Veil. Nobody in the entire world knows what this is, but we're somehow supposed to. Every NPC acts like they know what it is and that this is some crazy world-ending crap if the Witness gets it, but like, what is it? Why should I care? There's no stakes, there's no build-up, and there's no tension. It's just a funny-looking purple thingy that the Cloud Striders keep in their basement. It's a thing. That's it. It's supposed to be important, but frankly, to the player, it just isn't. The mystery doesn't exist because I just assume it's already solved because everybody acts like they already know and I'm out of the loop. It's kind of how The Last Jedi treats the Dark Cavern thingy. Luke is all panicked about it, and it's obviously been affecting Rey, but what is it? Why is it on the island? Is it a temple? Is it a cursed ground? Even though it's obviously important to the story, I can't tell why or what it really does, and therefore it falls completely flat. There is a flip side to this, however, setting up something way too obviously. Both Lightfall and The Last Jedi have a character that's supposed to have a big grandiose twist, that being Rohan and DJ. Now, Rohan's big thing is that he dies by the end of the campaign, and DJ betrays the main cast. However, However, both of these twists are so telegraphed it's hard to even get attached to them in the first place. DJ is already a known criminal, and Rohan literally says, "I'm about to die anyway." You can call both of these characters so easily because it's foreshadowing something that really shouldn't be foreshadowed. Not to mention, Nimbus is almost totally unaffected by Rohan's frankly ghastly and traumatizing death. He's just like, okay, I guess, and then he ruins it even further by saying, "I've never known a Cloud Strider to die before their time is up," so apparently this was totally expected. So I actually have talked to some people who've like studied the lore and all, and apparently there's a running theory that the Cloud Striders actually knew that Rohan was going to die, like it was a folklore prediction thing, but it's still not explained to us, which once again is a very big Achilles heel of this entire campaign, of not explaining things that should be explained and explaining things that should not be explained. Anyways, back to the video. It would have been more emotionally impactful if Cloud Striders didn't die in 10 years, and this wasn't expected. What's intended to be a devastating and courageous sacrifice is more like a mildly upsetting mishap. It's a total neutering of a character that should be really cool, but it's not a sacrifice unless you have something to lose. Now we have to address something that probably has a more specific name, but it's something that I like to call the Solver. In other words, it's the thing that we're supposed to get to fix all of our problems, like the Master Sword or the Elder Wand. In The Last Jedi's case, that is Rey getting the Force, and in ours, it's supposed to be Strand. This is actually a case where Star Wars did it better. It's actually important for Rey to get the Force. For us, it feels like we're supposed to get Strand, that's for sure, but we don't really get an explanation as to why, except to stop these benign looking totem thingies that conveniently suppress every super but Strand? Higher stakes are definitely possible than stopping little box things. Take a look at Star Wars. If Rey doesn't get the Force, they lose everything and everybody dies. If we don't get Strand, we're slightly inconvenienced, I guess. That's why I don't mind Strand being the focus. This has worked before, but you actually have to make Strand important if that's how you want to play your plot. We're almost to the end here, but I have to talk about something that's a little more of a personal gripe: the cognitive dissonance that the expansion outputs. So I'm gonna make a video on this in the future, definitely. It's somewhere down there in the fishbowl, but to make a story not feel either awkward or cringe, you need to establish exceptions and rules. The game Hi-Fi Rush does this excellently. Nothing is taken seriously in the game, so that's what your brain comes to expect. Therefore, it isn't off-put by the game being silly and joke-filled. However, there are some very serious moments in the game, and they work perfectly because your brain focuses on them and realizes, since this disrupts the status quo, that means it's a genuine and important moment. This is why the Strand storyline falls even shorter. Callus and the Witness are destroying the solar system, but we're goofing off in the Vex network playing with some green stuff. The rule should be, this is seriously your last hope. Go kill Callus. But instead it feels like, you'll get around to it. Back to our Star Wars analogy, and probably the biggest failure in my opinion, the ending. So, at the end of the campaign, the Witness draws a triangle and goes inside of it, and that's about it. That's it. That's the ending. The Witness just disappears. See, like in episode 8, we are pretty much right back where we started, minus one big baddie, Callus in this case, and plus one magical power, Strand. We still have the light, we still have the darkness, and now we have a totally cool new weapon, new allies, and for all intents and purposes, we don't have to deal with the Witness anymore. That's why I said losing in Lightfall should have summoned Nezarec, or at least something. Even if it was a trade for wherever the heck the Witness went. At least then it felt like losing in Lightfall was really bad. I mean, heck, we summoned Nezarec. That's not good. But in the state it's in, we might as well have never done anything. If you're gonna have a plot line where you lose, there has to be stakes if you lose. When you lose in Lightfall, nobody seems to care. I mean, Zavala and Ikora are just sitting in the tower like, oopsie daisy. I mean, this is bad stuff, but it's more just like nobody cares, and therefore I don't care. As of today, it just feels like there's one big question mark sitting on top of everything. It's blatantly obvious that this is the first half of what will become the Final Shape campaign. I just hope this was another one of those really mid part 1 finale episodes that nobody likes. However, this isn't unsalvageable actually. The story can be picked up, as long as it doesn't make the same mistakes that Star Wars Episode 9 did. The Last Jedi severely divided Star Wars fans, and in what seemed to be a last-ditch effort to try and get fans excited again, Episode 9 essentially rewrote everything and made the whole movie a bunch of uninteresting fan service that completely nuked anything set up in Episode 7 and 8. So what needs to happen is Bungie needs to commit, and I mean commit hard. Pick a side. We don't know what the veil is, and they need to give us a reasonable explanation ASAP. Even if they don't want to answer it now and want to wait, we at least need a "we don't really know, but it sure does output a lot of energy." At least that's something. That explains why nobody really said anything about it, or what it actually does. Next, we need to look at all those loose threads and solve them in the final shape. Everything from the witness to the importance of the strand and traveler and everything in between. Even though you fumbled the questions, you can still give satisfying and compelling answers. As long as Bungie isn't scared to commit to a story and an ending and avoid trying to please fans after what is probably going to go over very divisively, we can still get an excellent story ending out of this. Let this be the mediocre halfway point part 1 episode. Don't try to overextend retroactively and yeah but everything. Even though people are going to fight over this campaign for a full year now, you owe it to your fans to give an answer. So buckle down and get serious. This isn't unrepairable, and honestly it might not even really be that bad at all. But I'm still a little scared in terms of the narrative. I know this isn't the usual Ace Goofy Goober video, but it needed to be said, and also, conveniently, all of the Strand fragments got shadow dropped, and it completely ruined my Strand 3.0 script. Thank you, Bungie. So, here you go. I don't know what's gonna come of this, and we typically as humans tend to be very doom and gloom about everything, or pretend like everything's gonna be perfect, which usually the answer is neither of those things. But, I don't know. I've seen this before, and I'm concerned. Genuinely, because I really do like this game. If I wasn't concerned, I would be more worried, because I would probably just go start playing something else. But I really do like this game, and I like the changes that have come about in the expansion, but I just don't like where this narrative is headed, because I've seen this song and dance before. But we'll just have to see where things are going. I've seen Bungie pull the fat out of the fire before. I mean, Forsaken anybody. So they can definitely do it. We'll just have to see. So thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to get back to creating normal, funny videos now. And I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya!